This next one is Hannah Gadsby's book, 10 Steps to Nanette. I'm not entirely sure if I'm pronouncing that word right, but if it's Nanette, I think it's Nanette. I don't have an Australian accent, obviously, but it's a funny book. It's a good story. It's like deeply personal, as you would expect if you ever saw the comedy special. This is her life leading up to that comedy special and what she talks about in that special and how all these things have happened. I just want to go through like 3 little excerpts from the book that are kind of humorous that I liked from it, and it kind of stuck out to me. So I'm just going to start here. Oh, sorry, here. 10 Steps to Nanette by Hannah Gadsby. So I'm going to start here, page 221. And then I'm going to hop over, and then I'm going to hop a little bit back. Page 221 at the top. I'm not comfortable with public recognition because they, the public, know me as a comedian, but I know that in most situations I'm likely to be as funny as a plank of wood. So when I heard an excited voice behind me at the train station ask if I was that comedian, I turned around very much hoping that I was not that comedian. Sadly, I was. My fan was a teenage boy who clapped his hands in delight when I said hello. "My dad and I love you," he grinned, and this took me very much by surprise. Dads and their young sons have never been my demographic. I could only assume that it was my primetime gig that had broadened my fan base. "Oh wow," was all I could think to say, but he was a fan, so of course he laughed. As you would expect of an exchange between a teenage boy and someone like me, our meeting was brief and awkward, but just as I thought our exchange was over, he blurted out, "I hope you don't mind me saying, but I recognized you from your massive hips." "Oh wow," was all I could say before he continued. "This is really great because you've settled an argument between me and Dad because he reckons that your hips couldn't possibly be real. He reckons you must stuff padding or something down your pants. But I can see they're totally real, and I am totally right." There was nothing at all I could say to that except, "Oh wow," again. I only managed to say that after he'd left, but I'm sure he would have laughed. I wish I could tell you that this is the only time I've been presented with the stuffed pants theory. So many people have queried the authenticity of my hips, and sometimes I wonder what they think about me after I tell them they are all natural. Do they think less or more of me? But mostly, it devastates me to think that my dimensions are cartoonish enough that people think I would do it for a laugh. I didn't help the situation. Every time I walked on stage, I would make fun of how I looked. I was very good at it, too. I am way better at fat jokes than anybody who thinks they're funny. I've always been very thick of the thigh. I once scalped a girl playing leapfrog. See, fat jokes were my bread and butter, which is a shame, because that kind of bread and butter is basically a shame sandwich, and shame is never part of a healthy, balanced diet. And we're going to hop ahead here to page 311, Punch a Shark in the Face. When it came time to registering for all the festivals for my 2017 season, I had a hard time choosing between 2 names and ostensibly the 2 competing ideas that I had attached to them. As you might have already worked out, I ended up going with the title Nanette, but the other title in hot contention was Punch a Shark in the Face, which in terms of the content of the show might have been a much more apt title than Nanette, but I am glad I didn't go with it because I love sharks. The title had been gifted to me by an awful young man who told me an awful story about the time he'd been free diving and a shark had kept stealing fish from his catch stash up the line. So he decided to ambush the shark the next time it tried to steal from him and teach it a lesson. How do you teach a shark a lesson? You don't punch it in the face. Because that's what this guy did, and the shark paid him back by taking 2 of his fingers clean off his hand. I liked that he lost his fingers, and it would have been a great story had the jerk not told everyone at the time that it was a completely unprovoked attack, and so the shark was caught and killed, and I still hate that guy. There's a little postscript. I should have punched his dick in the face. And then I'm going to hop back a little bit here to page 281, where she says, on the one hand, having artists compete for a prestigious award is a great way to draw attention to an art form and even elevate it in the minds of people beyond the bubble of the industry. On the other hand, naming a winner of an art form takes subjective decisions steeped in bias and repositions them as objective, measurable facts, which is a very big part of why people who don't like my work can reach the conclusion that I must not be funny. But all it actually means is that they don't like my work, and I don't like them. Hooray for opinions! So that's Hannah Gadsby's Nanette, 10 Steps to Nanette, That's just a small part of it. It's a pretty long book, actually. It goes really into depth about her life and being autistic and discovering that she's a lesbian. I would recommend it to anybody who might have similar things with people in their lives or are going through that themselves. And I don't mean that in any kind of way. I totally honestly, she's very honest about a lot of the things in her life, and I think that maybe there's people out there that could get something out of that, and it would be a real comfort to read this book. So 10 Steps to Nanette by Hannah Gadsby.